right, so here's where I'm at. The cluster here, I'm actually gonna have it recessed into the firewall here, and I can't seem to get this whole piece in one shot because it follows the roll cage here. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna slice it right here in the middle. I can slice it right here, then I can recess this cluster inside of it, and then finish off. I can just kind of weld these back together and finish them off. I think it's gonna be the easiest way to get this in there. And this is such like a skinny piece of metal here on the bottom and the top. You probably won't really see it. After I weld it and grind it back smooth, it'll still probably look like one piece. Well, that's the goal anyways. So let's kind of see what happens here. We're making good progress over here. So I bent this on a 90-degree angle and this too, 90-degree angle. And I'm thinking I'm just gonna line this up in the middle and just drill 2 holes and do some captive nuts in the back. 2 flange washers with 2 flange bolts. Brass, of course. And then I bent this piece of metal in over this axle tube right here that I had. It makes good for a nice forming tool rather. Now I don't know how far I want to cut along this edge here or have it protrude just a little bit. I'm gonna have to make a decision real quick though. So there's not a lot of room between this gauge cluster and the brake reservoirs, the brass ones I made. It comes real close. So I figure as long as I got that bolted right there, I should have enough room to get the wiring loom in these clips here. And I should just be able to squish against the back of the panel here. There's like a good inch and a half of play. I'm hoping it'll reach. I don't feel like digging through the box of wires right now to confirm this, but I think it'll be all right. And this is 16 gauge steel as well, as long as this. It's not fun to bend, and you do see the kinks in this. But I think I can fix that with the angle grinder and make it look pretty neat, and no one will know. And plus, it's gonna just be like a tight fit to it. And with that, you can't even tell. Once I get this weld on the edges here, I can hammer these out with a hammer and kind of round them off. And it should come out pretty good. I just got some tacks in it for right now. I'm gonna try and reshape this out a little bit with a hammer and a dolly. But this is essentially going to be the recessed piece here. I'll trim all this extra off and slide this into the firewall and weld it in where it needs to be. So I still have a little bit more forming to do. And I ended up just using my bendy stick. But now I just have to trim and get it flushed up and then do a final pass with the bendy stick. And then I'll try and round out whatever kinks I can. Probably would be a lot easier with an English wheel, but we don't have that. kind of skipped a whole bunch of steps here. I apologize, but it is really cold outside. There's a bunch of snow and ice, and it's just not ideal for filming, and I just want to get this done. Anyways, we have the firewall pretty much tacked in. I still need more tacks, but the solid ain't going anywhere. And I did cut out a section for the cluster here. Still needs work. Thinking somewhere right there. Like so. So I don't know if I'm gonna fully weld this in yet, or just make some return flanges and just nut and bolt it in so I can take it out if need be. I'll kind of just sleep on it. There's still plenty of clearance between the back of the cluster and the reservoirs here. However, the wiper assembly here, when it swings, it is gonna follow this just a little bit. So next time I'm gonna have to cut a pizza out of this, a little slice, and just flip it inside out and weld it back in, just so this can swing back and forth and not hit it. But so far, so good. That's all ice in the alleyway. For the most part though, it seems pretty promising. As long as I get the wire loom in the back of it, should be good to go. Story time. So it's been quite some time now since I last posted, maybe about 3 months. And I actually don't even remember if I even finished the dash. It's been so long. But a sudden change has happened, and me and my buddy Andrew moved out of the shop, moved into a new shop. The last thing I remember making in the old shop was I started making a giant oven to do bigger parts for powder coating. And that's kind of when we moved out. And I didn't really film any of the process. I do have some pictures I'll just throw in here and there. But I'm just going to give you like a quick little tour of the new shop. I'll show you what we got going on. So before I start working on the Mini again, I really wanted to set up the shop nicely. I wanted to get some bigger and better tools, more equipment, things that would help me build this Mini. I did manage, however, to finish the big powder coat oven. You can see that in the background. And then next I built this sandblast cabinet, and it's huge. I can fit a BMX frame in there and everything. It's something I've been needed, something I've been wanting for a long time, and kind of just got some metal and kind of just built it against the wall actually, which is kind of funny, but it works pretty good. The best thing about it has got to be the light. It's really bright, and that's one thing I hated was those stock sandblast cabinets. The lighting would always just be so dull and not bright enough, so having like a really bright light is huge. And we do have a regular oven too for the smaller parts for powder coating, but this big one here is just the icing on the cake. It's so big. I plan on using it to do a lot of the bigger parts for the Mini in here. And I'm doing some side jobs as well. I did some car wheels already, some BMX frames, little odds and ends. And it works pretty good for how sketchy this thing is. I mean, I never really finished the wiring. It's just an open junction box there on the side. It's 220 volt. A little sketchy there, but it works. And if you follow me on social media, recently I just finished this slip roller. And I wish I had this thing years ago. This thing is really awesome, and I'm using it to just bend strips of metal. I might use it to make some fender flares. I wish I actually had this when I was building the dash. That would have been ideal, but it is what it is. And we got the lathe set up over here in the corner. We have central air. I've made some dimple dies too, all sorts of different sizes. I've really been staying busy, not working on the Mini, just building other things for the shop. Yeah, so I'll give you a little walkthrough and show you what I got going on here. Now, one thing I am really stoked on about the shop is we now have central compressed air. There was a main compressor in this whole building with a 2-inch pipe, and we were able to tap into it. So we ran some 3/4 line, some PEX line actually, and we ran it throughout the whole entire shop. So now I really have compressed air throughout the whole shop, which is nice. I got some in the middle, I got one going to the blast cabinet, and I even got a line going all the way to the lathe over in the corner, which is nice. And we do have a powder coating room, which also has compressed air, which is pretty nice. In between setting up the new shop, I have been working on the Mini here and there. I worked on the fuel cell. I made a filler neck, a gas cap out of brass. Here's what you can see here. I made these little gussets that still need to be welded in. They do clear the fuel cell. I do have to get the fuel cell bolted in, or strapped in rather. And I'm just kind of bouncing around the whole shop and the Mini. Nothing really filmed, but I can kind of show you what got going on here. And here's my little welding table. I do all the TIG welding on that table back there. We have a TV now, which is kind of cool. And over here is my buddy's Jeeps. He's got a TJ right here that's kind of cool. And he's at the CJ3A, of course. And it has a early V8 swap, which is pretty cool. And over here in the corner is where the powder coat room is. Or you can paint in there too, I guess. A little bit of whatever. Got the compressed air on the side here for the gun. It's grounded too as well. It's going all the way into the floor with an 8-foot grounding rod. Yeah, you can see it right there in the corner. Did a little bit of painting in here. We painted the whole floors, the columns. We put these walls up and everything, and then Andrew went to town and started tagging all the walls. But yeah, this is our new home. Hopefully we'll be here for a while. A lot of new upgrades. It's a heated shop too, which is very, very nice, convenient. That was like the biggest thing for us. And it's still close to home, only 15 minutes up the road. And I won't go into huge detail, but I redid the front suspension a little bit. I made these adjusting brackets that sit on top, and I gained about 2 inches of adjustability, which is what this car really needed, because after it was starting to get heavy, it started getting lower. As I kept adding more things to the car, it would get heavier and get lower to the ground, and the tires were starting to rub a little bit on full lock. And I just want more adjustability. They were already kind of maxed out where they sat, and before I moved the brackets, it was just easier just to make these little top mount brackets. And I made it all in the lathe, and those took weeks. Not weeks, but they took hours. So I think now I got you guys pretty much up to date, and I'm kind of just going to leave it right here and show you some other footage I've been working on.